about yourself. What is your name? Where are you from?
My name is Marek. I come from Poland. Well, I work as a programmer in a company in Krakow, south Poland. I like mountains. It was the reason why I moved to Krakow. So, I usually spend my free time actively, like usually hiking. No extreme sports, nothing like that. Just usually walking, occasionally skiing, but alpine skiing. I like to get out of my comfort zone and see something else, a new experience.
Okay, cool. And what is your religion? Do you believe in God or anything else?
I grown up as Roman Catholic because this is official religion in Poland, almost all people. Right now I wouldn't describe myself as a religious person. I read a lot about Buddhism. In fact, I think there is a lot of truth and wisdom in Eastern philosophy and religions.
You are from Poland. Can you introduce your country, what it is like, and what about the people there?
Well, the history is relatively long. It's a Central European country that had a period of dependence on Soviet Union. So we were in so-called East Bloc of Europe for last 35 years. We are again a part of Western world. I would say that the country developed considerably for these 35 years. Right now we are not much different than, I'd say, Western European countries. We belong to the European Union. We like to complain about our country that is so underdeveloped, and we used to be very homogeneous. So especially after Second World War, because we belong to European Union, we start becoming more heterogeneous. So people from other countries, especially from Ukraine for obvious reasons, start coming to Poland. So we are no longer like one country or one religion. Well, if you come to Poland, there's a few common places to visit. Like the place where I live, Krakow, is one of them. Around there is salt mine, former Nazi concentration camp. This is one of the top places that people visit in Poland. There is, of course, the capital, Warsaw, which was a city completely destroyed during the Second World War. There is Gdańsk, so the country at the seaside, which with interesting history between Polish, we don't have too many medieval castles, or because of the history, a lot of monuments.
Is there any food you strongly recommend us to try?
Polish cuisine is not much different than the cuisine of other countries in Europe, especially. What would tourists usually eat in Poland? Pierogi, which is kind of is common in many cultures. So something similar. A typical one is based on potatoes, white cheese. There is also smoked Highlander cheese made either out of sheep or cow milk. Well, what about Polish strong alcohols? I personally don't like vodka. Maybe because of
bad experience.
Bad experience. You know, everyone was young at some point, right? And everyone participated in parties that one later regretted. Drinking a lot used to be a common pattern in Polish tradition. I think it becomes less and less important, which is a very good sign.
When was the first time you get drunk, or how old were you at that time?
I think I was 18. This is official age in Poland when you are allowed to drink alcohol.
Thanks for sharing. And when did you start to travel? To travel around or in Europe?
I would say quite late, because Poland was an underdeveloped country that was not a part of European Union, and traveling abroad was always more problematic than it is now. So we needed visa basically for all countries. Of course, I had some in my school time, 1 or 2 visits to the countries nearby, like Czech Republic or Slovakia. My first real trip was for a student exchange program at the end of my studies, so I was 23 at the time probably. Then I had an opportunity to spend a couple of years in Austria as a researcher at the university there. I started my work. I started working for an American company with headquarters in Silicon Valley, so it gave me an opportunity to actually go there several times. At the time, the companies were much more generous for engineers to give them opportunities to travel even twice a year. And since then, I like traveling to every second year. I very often visit some other European countries, but every now and then I get some longer journeys like this time.
Okay. Do you think traveling plays an important part in your life?
Everyone has 26 days of vacation per year. It means that most of the time I'm at home. At least I like to believe every journey that I make makes me richer internally. That I learn new people, maybe new habits. It's difficult to quantify, but I believe yes, it's an important part of it.
Do you have any unforgettable experiences?
I like situations in which, let's say, I'm surprised. First time when I, for example, visited Scandinavia, I was just astonished by this greenery, blue sky that was there, and the day that was like never ending, because at certain latitudes there, even if there is no polar day, basically it never gets dark. So it means things like experiencing something for the first time, maybe not expecting it, is always unforgettable. Fortunately, I cannot mention any unpleasant, unforgettable situation so far. Yeah, I remember first time when I went to Austria and as a young student, and just realized that I don't have a place to sleep overnight because my reservation starts just in a couple of days, and I had to walk around without knowing the language and try to find a place where to stay. But after all, everything finished very, very good. So, but I still remember the feeling of uncertainty.
If you can get younger, what would you like to start over, or are there any things you regret or you want to do it when you are very young?
The traveling, visiting other cultures. When I think of my adult life, I would say that it started when I left home and went to city for studies, or even later when I first crossed the border. It was kind of moment when I really opened my eyes. I don't know, going abroad while at school, at least for a couple of weeks, to see, to talk to other people, to maybe it would stimulate me better at that age.
As you mentioned before, you said that the culture in your country and the other Western countries are very similar, but I believe there are some slight differences. People say that people from Spanish are very friendly, and some people from Germany, they are conservative. And how would you say about Polish?
I heard the opinion that occasionally we are honest when communicating at work. So it means that while, let's say, in a place where Englishmen would use an understatement and not go straight to the point, we would give much more direct feedback, or express our discontent more verbally.
This is your first time traveling to Taiwan, to an Asian country, and what's the biggest difference you have seen or realized so far after you left the airport.
Yes, what I read was partially confirmed that people stay in lines when entering a metro train, that the metro trains are clean, it's not allowed to eat or drink inside. I heard something about traffic here, that occasionally one has to be careful when crossing the street.
What makes you want to come to Taiwan?
In fact, in my life I met a few people from Taiwan, but I also met people from mostly from East Asia who were recommending going here.
You speak English very well. Is English the second language in Poland?
When we were released from Eastern Bloc, people took very seriously, especially learning English, because people realized that it's a passport for a good and prosperous future. And I think most people in my generation speak English, which wasn't common at all. I remember when I was at school, almost no one spoke English in Poland.
Can you tell us about your English learning experience?
I'm not sure when exactly they start learning, but I think in many kindergartens there are already some classes. It wasn't enough for me to spend 10 years at school, like there at the university, taking classes. It was actually spending these first couple of months abroad when I really realized how important it is to know foreign language and get to a certain level.
Outside of school, do you have other interests to learn English?
Because it's like internet is so easily accessible, I very often listen to some podcasts or films by YouTubers that are in English, so I would say I do it quite regularly. In Poland, most movies are, at least especially for adults, and especially in the cinemas, they are with subtitles. So whenever I watch a movie, they are usually in the original language, which is mostly English.
And can you please say something to English learners in Taiwan, encourage them to learn English?
Live in the world outside of my country and without knowing English. Even if I lived in Poland and not moving anywhere, it's hard for me to imagine to get a decent job because of the Polish market, especially like in my area in computer science. So I can imagine that in Taiwan can be similar. If you travel abroad, have a decent job at home.
What do you do when you greet people and say goodbye?
Handshaking is the most common way of greeting and saying goodbye. Kissing, so between men and women, it's probably becoming less popular. But the common way is kiss 3 times in the cheeks.
Twice on the same cheek,
Yes.
Andy. Okay.
Yes.
Would you teach us some Polish?
Thank you, dziękuję. Hello, we usually say cześć. It's the shortest form of hi, something like that.
Can you say how to say goodbye in Polish?
Do widzenia.
Do widzenia. Do widzenia. Yeah. And in Taiwanese we say 再见.
再见.
Yeah, 再见.